You've been hidden, not forgotten. It's all for royal purposes. There are seasons in your life when everything seems to slow down and the world stops looking your way. The crowd disappears, the spotlight dims, and it feels like no one sees you anymore. You're no longer invited, mentioned, or remembered by those you once walked with. But what if I told you this was never about rejection? What if I told you this was divine redirection? You haven't been left behind. You've been hidden. And that hiding has a purpose beyond anything you can currently imagine. Before we go further, make sure you watch this video till the very end, because this message is for the ones who feel overlooked but are actually being prepared. And if you feel this message is meant for you, drop a 99 in the comments along with your warmest wish. This space is for high energy only, for people awakening to their calling and attracting the frequency of fulfillment. Let's fill the comments with belief, with light, and with destiny in motion. You've been hidden, not because you were forgotten, but because you were chosen. You weren't sidelined because you were weak. You were set apart because you were strong enough to carry something rare. And rare things must be protected. They are not exposed too early. They are cultivated, refined, and revealed in perfect timing. And that's exactly what's been happening to you. You weren't late, you weren't skipped, you were sealed for royal purposes. During this hidden season, you've likely questioned everything: your worth, your future, your direction. But here's the truth: isolation is the soil where true identity is rooted. When the noise disappears, you finally start hearing yourself, your real voice, your real desires, your real strength. The silence you've endured wasn't a void. It was a sacred space where your destiny was being written in secret. Sometimes the greatest protection is not being seen. Sometimes the most powerful move is to remain invisible while the foundation is being formed. Had you been exposed too early, you would have been misunderstood, mishandled, even misused by those who couldn't comprehend your depth. That's why you were tucked away. That's why things didn't take off when you thought they should. Because what you carry is not average, and average conditions can't hold royal purpose. You weren't created for quick fame or shallow validation. You were built for legacy, for movements, for impact that echoes beyond a moment. That kind of greatness needs preparation. It requires seasons of silence, of pruning, of breaking and building all over again. And yes, it's lonely. And yes, it can feel like punishment. But it's not. It's placement. Divine placement. If you're feeling forgotten, it's because you're looking for recognition in the wrong direction. The right eyes haven't seen you yet. The right door hasn't opened. But it will. And when it does, you won't have to knock. It will swing wide because it was created just for you. It will recognize your voice. Your presence will unlock it. And everything you thought you missed will be waiting inside. Don't confuse hiddenness with irrelevance. Don't let delay convince you of denial. The truth is, your name is being spoken in places your feet haven't even entered. Your presence is being prepared before you even arrive. And when you do show up, you won't need to explain where you've been. The light that radiates from you will make it clear. You've been with purpose. You've been in alignment. You've been becoming. Not everyone will understand your process. Some will wonder where you went. Some will forget your name. Let them. Their memory of you doesn't define your future. Their absence from your journey doesn't disqualify your calling. Sometimes, the weight of what's coming requires you to walk alone for a while, to shed every voice that once distracted you, every connection that diluted you, every pattern that caged your true potential. You didn't lose yourself. You've just been found by something higher, something sacred, something royal. You're not meant to go back to how things used to be. You're not meant to re-enter places that once made you question your value. You've been elevated, quietly, privately, with intention, so that when the time comes, your arrival will be undeniable. Think of all the lessons you've learned while hidden, the inner healing, the mindset shifts, the strength you discovered when no one was cheering you on. That wasn't wasted time. That was royal training. The throne you're walking toward requires discipline, humility, and clarity. You now carry all three, and nothing can take that from you. So stop apologizing for the time it's taken. Stop rushing your blooming. You are not behind. You are aligned. Your unveiling will be right on time, and when it happens, everything will make sense. The silence, the waiting, the long nights, the quiet tears, all of it will come together in one. You were hidden, not buried, covered, not erased, protected, not passed over, and now the covering is lifting. The light is shifting. The world is about to see what heaven has been preparing all along. You are stepping into the reason you were hidden, and that reason is royal. What you've endured in silence has built more strength in you than applause ever could. You've carried dreams that no one knew about. You've navigated storms without asking for sympathy. You've cried in silence, worked without recognition, believed without proof. And still, you kept going. That's not weakness. That's not failure. That's resilience. That's royalty being formed under pressure. This world has a way of celebrating the loud, the visible, the constant performers. But real elevation doesn't begin in the spotlight. It begins in the shadows, in the quiet places where the soul learns patience, humility, and discipline. You weren't bypassed. You were reserved. Because what's royal is never rushed, and your life is not meant to be rushed. Every moment you spent in the dark was a brushstroke on the masterpiece you are becoming. And now, there's a shift. You can feel it, can't you? In your sleep, in your conversations, in your restlessness. It's subtle, but undeniable. You're being pulled out of the hidden space, not by force, but by alignment. The energy around you is no longer content with silence. The universe is calling your name louder now. It's your time, not because you said so, but because everything in your being knows so. Don't be surprised if people who never noticed you suddenly become aware of your presence. Don't be shocked if doors start opening with no explanation. Don't overthink it. Don't minimize it. This isn't random. It's revelation. The hidden ones always rise at the perfect moment. They don't have to announce it. They don't even have to try. Their presence is a signal that the atmosphere has changed. You will notice that the things that once fit you no longer feel comfortable. Conversation, so get ready, not for attention, but for assignment. Not for praise, but for purpose. Not for ego, but for elevation. You've been hidden for royal purposes, and the time is drawing near where that royalty can no longer remain a secret. There's something sacred about moving in silence, while the rest of the world rushes in noise. You learned to sit with yourself, not because you wanted to, but because you had no other choice. The world became quiet. The support became scarce, and the path ahead looked uncertain. But in that silence, something greater was awakening inside you. The realization that you didn't need validation to be valuable. What was taken from you was not meant to punish you. It was meant to teach you how to function without external crutches. When the crowd vanished, you met your true self, the version of you that doesn't need to be seen to feel seen, the version that doesn't chase but attracts, that doesn't beg but believes, that doesn't perform, but simply is. That version was born in the hidden place, and that version is the one ready to rise. You've walked through invisible battles that most people wouldn't understand, even if you tried to explain. You've had nights where your own reflection didn't recognize you, days where your strength was pretending to be okay, and moments where you wanted to quit silently, but you didn't. You stood back up, not because it was easy, but because something deep inside you whispered, "It's not over." That whisper came from your calling, the one that refused to die even when you were buried in doubt, the one that kept showing up in your dreams, your thoughts, your spirit, even when your outer world was falling apart. That calling is real, and it's tied to something royal, something world-shifting, something that will outlive you. People often misinterpret your absence. They assume silence means irrelevance. But royalty doesn't announce every move. It prepares, it plans, it perfects in the background. You've been moving differently because you are being equipped for a different kind of arrival. Not one that screams for attention, but one that commands it, not with volume, but with energy, with essence, with alignment. There's a glow on people who've done the inner work, who faced their shadows and kept moving anyway. You carry that now. You may not fully see it yet, but others will. They'll be drawn to your energy, your clarity, your peace. Not because you're trying to be something, but because you finally became yourself. The path of the hidden one is often misunderstood. You will feel ahead of your time and out of place in many rooms. That's because the room was never meant to contain you. It was meant to show you what no longer fits. You were built to build something new, to walk in realms others haven't imagined, to speak things others are too afraid to say, to live in a way that redefines what's possible. And that's not a light responsibility. That's why the process took so long. Because royalty doesn't get handed out. It gets cultivated, layer by layer, test after test, breakdown after breakdown, until everything that's not truly you is stripped away. And what's left, what's pure, what's resilient, becomes unstoppable. There is a sacred responsibility tied to your becoming. And the reason you had to be hidden is because your life is a blueprint for others. People are going to watch how you rise, how you carry success, how you handle elevation without arrogance, how you maintain compassion in the spotlight, how you remain grounded when everything around you screams ego. You're not just rising for yourself, you're rising for legacy. This is bigger than a comeback. This is a crowning. This is not you returning as who you used to be. This is you revealing who you've always been, underneath all the layers of fear, rejection, comparison, and limitation. And now all of that is being stripped away so that the core of your identity can finally shine. There's no need to announce it. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to prove anything. The light that's on your life now will speak louder than any post, platform, or praise. It will be undeniable. It will be unshakable. It will be unstoppable. Let people wonder how you made it. Let them whisper. Let them assume. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your becoming. Those who are meant to walk with you will recognize your royalty without needing a presentation. They'll feel it, just like you're feeling this now. You've been hidden because you were never meant to be just another voice, just another face, just another story. You're meant to be a shift, a spark, a storm that awakens dry lands and breathes life back into forgotten places. You are here to rebuild what others abandoned, to revive what others buried, to carry hope in places that have forgotten its name. So breathe. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not invisible. You are exactly where you were meant to be, one step away from the door that opens everything. And when it does, walk through it like you belong. Because you do, not just as a visitor, but as royalty stepping into your throne room. At last, you're no longer who you used to be, not even close. And that's a powerful truth, not a loss. There are versions of you that had to die in the dark so that this stronger, wiser, more royal version could rise. You didn't just go through pain. You were reshaped by it. The broken pieces didn't just fall apart. They were rearranged to build something far more beautiful than before. People will try to reconnect with the old you, expecting you to respond the way you used to. But you're no longer accessible in the way you once were. Your frequency has changed. Your vision has expanded. Your peace is now non-negotiable. You've outgrown the need to explain your growth. It speaks for itself now. When you were hidden, you had time to detox from the noise, time to release the addiction to being seen, time to let go of the shallow pursuit of approval. And what you gained in return is something most people will never experience: clarity. You now know who you are when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one's validating. And that identity, the one forged in solitude, is your unshakable foundation. That's why your next season will look different. You're not showing up just to be noticed. You're showing up to align, to impact, to occupy. There's an authority that comes with surviving hiddenness, because you no longer move from fear. You move from knowing. And that knowing cannot be taken from you because it wasn't given by man. It was earned through fire, silence, stillness, and sacred endurance. Don't rush this moment. Don't try to fill the space too quickly. Let the world catch up to what you've become. Let the right doors open at the right pace. You're not late. You're not behind. You're unfolding at the exact divine speed that matches the magnitude of your purpose. And anything that tries to rush you now is not aligned. Because royalty doesn't panic. Royalty flows. You'll begin to notice things aligning without effort. People showing up who speak your language. Opportunities that don't require you to compromise. Doors that open without you having to knock 3 times. This is the power of being aligned. No chasing, no forcing, no begging. Just being, and letting the energy of your truth draw in what was always meant for you. You are no longer seeking a place to fit in. You're stepping into spaces you were born to transform. You don't need to adapt to survive anymore. You've evolved, you've ascended, and the old survival patterns no longer serve you. You're not here to survive. You're here to reign, quietly, boldly, with grace and fire wrapped in peace. The people around you will feel it. Some will celebrate you. Others will become uncomfortable. Not because you've changed in a bad way, but because your growth confronts their stagnancy. Don't let their discomfort distract you. Don't let their silence make you question your voice. Royalty doesn't shrink because others stayed the same. Royalty expands and invites others to rise with it. And if they don't rise, let them go. Everyone can't come with you. Some connections were only meant for your cocoon, not your kingdom. They helped shape your story, but they are not part of your next chapter. Release them with love, but move on with certainty, because you are being called into rooms that require the fullness of you, not the edited, doubting, dimmed-down version. This is where you start walking like it's already yours, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. This is where you stop second-guessing the power you carry, where you stop diluting your presence to make others comfortable, where you stop playing small in rooms you were born to lead. You've been hidden long enough. And now, the world is about to experience what hiding prepared. This is not about proving anyone wrong. This is not about revenge. This is about becoming the leader you needed, becoming the voice you couldn't find, becoming the strength you once prayed for. You are the answer to someone's question, the light for someone's dark, the confirmation someone's been searching for. And you're ready now, not because you feel ready every day, but because you've become ready. Your foundation has been tested. Your character has been refined. Your boundaries have been clarified. Your heart has been softened and strengthened all at once. You've let go of who you were pretending to be, and now, finally, you're able to carry the crown without it crushing you. This is a holy kind of rising, one that doesn't need permission, one that doesn't need applause, one that walks with silent power and undeniable presence, one that doesn't brag but blesses, one that doesn't perform but embodies. You have become the version of yourself that you once didn't believe was possible. And yet here you are, quietly powerful, firmly grounded, eternally royal. There's a quiet confidence now resting on your shoulders. It wasn't there before, not because you lacked potential, but because you hadn't yet been refined. The kind of refinement that only comes from obscurity, from being overlooked, misunderstood, set aside. But now, everything feels different. You don't need to be told who you are. You know, you've been stripped of dependency, stripped of needing to be praised to keep going, stripped of needing to be chosen by others to believe you're worthy. That stripping process was painful. It felt like loss, but in reality, it was the greatest gain, because now, nothing outside of you has the power to define what's already been confirmed within you. There's no longer a need to announce your transition. Your energy does it for you. Your boundaries do it for you. Your presence, even when silent, shifts the atmosphere now. Because it's not just you walking into rooms anymore. It's your purpose. It's your alignment. It's your divine preparation in motion. The ones who once passed over you will sense the difference. They may not have the language to explain it, but they'll feel it. Some will be drawn. Others will distance themselves. Don't chase either reaction. Stay rooted. Stay regal. Because the truth is, not everyone has the capacity to recognize royalty, especially when it's still unfolding. You don't need recognition to be real. You don't need applause to walk in authority. You've become immune to distraction. You no longer move out of desperation. The urgency to prove is gone, replaced by peace, replaced by presence, replaced by an understanding that what's yours cannot be taken, and what leaves was never meant to stay. That kind of internal knowing can only be developed in solitude. There were days when you prayed for things that would have destroyed you. Doors you banged on that you're now grateful never opened. People you chased who couldn't see your worth. But now you understand. The rejection was protection. The delay was direction. The quiet season was not punishment. It was a purification. And that purification brought you back to your original self, untouched by doubt, unshaken by disappointment, unbothered by noise. What's happening now is not a comeback. It's an emergence. You are not rising from a fall. You are rising from fulfillment. You didn't just survive, you evolved. And that evolution wasn't loud. It didn't come with a warning. It happened while no one was watching. And that's why it's so strong, so stable, so unshakable. You've become someone who no longer performs for love. You embody love, someone who no longer begs to be understood, You speak with clarity and let the rest settle as it will. You no longer abandon yourself to be included. You walk away from anything that cost you your peace. That kind of royalty cannot be taught. It must be lived through. This season will require you to walk in your truth without hesitation. You will no longer be able to deny what's inside you just to keep the peace. You are not here to make others comfortable. You are here to ignite something greater. Some people won't understand your shift. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Their confusion is not your responsibility. You're being repositioned now, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, energetically. You can feel the shedding happening in layers. Old beliefs are falling away. Old attachments dissolving. You're no longer trying to force things that clearly don't fit. You've matured into your no just as much as your yes. That's power. That's royalty. That's readiness. The time you've spent hidden gave you something far more valuable than visibility. It gave you vision. Vision that sees beyond what's trending. Vision that sees through illusions. Vision that feels energy before words are even spoken. You've been gifted with depth, with perception, with the ability to move intuitively and decisively. And that's why your next season will not look like anyone else's. You're not here to follow the crowd. You're here to shift it, to awaken hearts that have grown numb, to embody integrity in a world full of imitation, to remain rooted in truth, even when deception is profitable. That's why the hiddenness was necessary, because you couldn't carry this weight without first becoming solid within. You no longer need to beg to be seen. You are the light. The right ones will notice. The right spaces will open. The right doors will respond. All without you having to scream. All without you having to beg. That's how royal energy works. It pulls, it anchors, it radiates. And now, everything you've lived through, every pain, every delay, every unanswered question, is being woven into the strength of your becoming. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. It was all preparation for this version of you. The one who no longer waits for permission. The one who knows their crown isn't made of gold. It's made of purpose. You've waited. You've endured. You've grown in silence. Now the curtain begins to lift. Not with noise, not with chaos, but with clarity. You are stepping into the light, not as someone desperate to be seen, but as someone who has already seen themselves. That's what makes this different. You're not rising for attention. You're rising because it's time. There's a divine rhythm to all of this, a sacred beat that your soul has been marching to, even when the world couldn't hear it. Every delay, every detour, every hidden place was training your ear to move with purpose, not pressure, with intention, not impulse. And now you can feel the rhythm changing. You're not just ready, you're aligned. You're not looking to recreate what already exists. You're here to build something the world has never seen, something that couldn't be mass-produced because it was custom-made. Through your journey, your pain, your victories, your hiddenness. What you carry is rare. What you survived is rare. And what you're becoming is nothing short of destiny unfolding in real time. This world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people like you. Quiet thunder, still waters with depth, grounded spirits who've been through fire but came out gold. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to push to be seen. Your story, your energy, your truth will do the speaking. And those who are meant to hear it will listen. You've reached a place where the applause no longer tempts you and the silence no longer scares you. You understand now that your worth has never been tied to attention. It's been anchored in who you've become while no one was looking. That's what makes your rise irreversible. You're not here to play a role. You're here to fulfill a purpose. So when you walk into what's next, walk with that knowing. Don't shrink. Don't hesitate. Don't explain. This is not the time to question if you're ready. This is the time to trust the process that made you ready. Because if you've been hidden, it means you've also been prepared. And preparation like this doesn't come without an assignment attached. Expect the shift. Expect the unfamiliar. Expect the stretch. You're not going back to what was. You're not returning to old patterns, old dynamics, old stories. The old you has graduated. And the new you, the royal version, walks differently, thinks differently, decides differently. Because now, every step you take is laced with purpose and power. You'll begin to see your reflection in different places now, not in people, but in moments, in decisions that come from wisdom, in peace that doesn't waver, in boundaries that don't bend, in relationships that mirror mutual growth instead of draining your light. This is what it means to reign from within, to be so full of truth that nothing outside of you can pull you off course. You'll no longer fear being hidden again, because now you know, hidden doesn't mean forgotten. It means chosen, protected, preserved, honored. Hidden is where the sacred things are kept until it's time for them to be revealed. And when they are, they don't just appear, they arrive. That's what you're doing now. You're arriving. And with that arrival comes responsibility. You are now a blueprint, a lighthouse, a living reminder that time spent in the shadows is never wasted. It's where greatness is quietly born. Your presence gives others permission to bloom slowly, to heal deeply, to grow with intention instead of urgency. You don't just shine, you activate light in others. So walk forward, not for them, but for you. Walk like someone who understands they are the answer to prayers they didn't even know were being whispered. Walk like someone who's been trained in sacred stillness and now walks with divine momentum. Walk like someone who knows they've been hidden, not forgotten. And it was all for royal purposes. Let the world catch up. Let the energy rise. Let the door open and the light flood in. You don't need to rush. You don't need to shout. You just need to keep becoming. Because your presence now speaks what your voice doesn't have to. And those who are meant for your story will find you, not because you searched for them, but because you aligned with who you truly are. This is your season. And this is the moment everything starts to make sense. You are royalty. You are ready. And now you are rising. There's a moment after the arrival when everything becomes still again. Not like the silence of before, but a deeper kind of stillness. One where you no longer feel the need to chase anything. The waiting is over, the hiding is finished, and now you've stepped into presence. Not just physical presence, but energetic presence. That undeniable vibration that says, I'm here, fully, authentically, aligned. The world you re-enter is the same, but you're not. You walk into familiar rooms and feel like a foreigner. You stand in places you once dreamed of and realize they don't define you anymore, because now you're not moved by the external. You move from within. You're no longer seeking to be placed. You are the placement. You are the message. You are the arrival. The ones who knew you before won't know how to interpret what you've become. You're no longer explainable in simple terms. You've outgrown the labels, outgrown the roles, outgrown the old version of you that made everyone else feel comfortable. Now, your very existence shakes complacency. Your joy disrupts their survival. Your confidence interrupts their fear-based programming. You won't need to defend your light. It speaks for itself. You'll notice it in the way people turn when you enter a room, in the way silence follows your steps, in the way your words linger longer than the noise around them. That's because your presence is not empty. It's not borrowed. It's not fabricated. It's earned. It's cultivated. It's been forged. And now that it's visible, the weight of being seen returns. But this time, you carry it differently. This time, you don't let it shape you. You walk in rooms without the need to be liked. You share without needing applause. You exist without asking for permission. Because now, you're not here to entertain. You're here to embody. You've stepped into your royal rhythm. And it's slower, still, focused. You don't move with chaos anymore. You move with clarity. You don't react to every distraction. You choose your battles. You don't need to win people. You resonate with them. Those who carry the same frequency will find you. You don't chase. You attract through truth. This is the version of you that was worth waiting for. The one you were always becoming in the background. This version doesn't just speak truth. It lives it. It radiates it. And people will feel it without you saying a word. Because now, your silence is louder than your old voice ever was. You'll find that fewer people can reach you now, not because you've become distant, but because you've become precise. You only respond to alignment. You only pour into what pours back. You only open where there is safety. You no longer entertain the energy of confusion. Because royalty cannot afford to negotiate with chaos. There will be tests. Elevation doesn't remove the challenges, it amplifies them. But now, you face them with authority. You don't tremble. You discern. You move with strategy. You know who you are. You've survived the cave. You've outlasted the silence. You've been sealed in secrecy and emerged in sovereignty. And the world doesn't know what to do with someone like that. You don't flinch when old triggers appear. You recognize them for what they are, echoes of a version of you that no longer exists. You nod at them, honor the lessons, but you no longer bow to them, because you've transcended. You are now a carrier of atmosphere. When you speak, people shift. When you walk, energy rearranges. When you lead, it's with vision, not ego. When you love, it's with depth, not desperation. When you show up, it's with purpose, not performance. That is the power of one who's been hidden, not forgotten. And in this new realm, you no longer beg the universe for answers. You become the answer. You no longer cry for a door. You become the door. You no longer wait for a path. You realize you are the path. Everything you once asked for has always been waiting for you to remember who you are. You are now walking in royalty not because you wear a crown, but because you've earned your identity. And the ones who recognize it will move with you. The ones who don't will fade. You won't have to force the separation. Elevation will do it for you. So now, rise, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally, energetically. Rise into your morning. Rise into your voice. Rise into your calling. Rise into your peace. And know this, you are no longer becoming. You have arrived.